Parliament's Committee on Public Accounts is meeting with local government authorities to discuss debt owed to power supplier Eskom by municipalities. Let's cut across live to those proceedings.
The National Treasury.
My name is Lwanda Zingitwa. I'm in the Chairman's office at Eskom.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Madeleine Ngalain. I am from National Treasury. I'm the DG responsible for intergovernmental relations.
Good morning, Chair, committee members. Good morning. My name is TV Pillay from the National Treasury.
Good morning, Chair and the committee members. My name is Toby Lembatsa from Public Enterprises.
All right, let's go this way.
Chair, my name is Kulu Pasiwe from Eskom.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Nombini Matomela from Eskom.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. My name is Mapelo Mvunelo from Eskom.
Good morning, all. My name is Itoring Tuli from GCOC.
Good morning, Chairperson, honorable members. My name is Tobani, Ministry of COCT.
Good morning, Chair and everybody. My name is Gigi Gosnell from the Office of the DG, Department of Cooperative Governance.
Good morning, Chair and the members. My name is Tutumalege from DCOC.
Good morning, Chair, honorable members. My name is Teboho Motlasuping. I'm the Acting Deputy Director General, DCOC.
All right. We do not have anyone from Salga.
Good morning, Chair and members. Salga is going to be present. We just had a bit of trouble with the flight, so they advised me they are in Parliament and they're rushing to the meeting. Apologies for the lateness.
Well, when they arrive, they sit that side. That's where the accused sit. This side, it's our side. Okay, comrades, may we introduce ourselves?
Nyamezeli Poe, member of the committee. I have an apology for Vincent. He's still in strategy.
Okay.
After I finish, he'll come here.
All right.
Dumela Chair, ke Saki ke kana ke member committee.
Good morning, Tapelo Chilwan, member of the committee.
Modweni Ntombovio Mende, member of the committee.
David Ross, member of the committee.
Good morning, Chair and colleagues. Tim Broderset, proud member of the committee from the great province of KwaZulu-Natal.
Chairperson Kevin Madam from the Portfolio Committee of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs.
Right, thanks very much. I'm Comrade Temba Godi. I chair the committee. DG of Treasury. You know very well that when there are matters that would affect money, you will always be pulled in. That's why you are here. But I do want to say, Chairperson of Eskom, that we as a committee had engaged Eskom on matters that had to do with some of the contracts that were there. In fact, I think we're the first to engage Eskom on these matters. And looking at Eskom's balance sheet, which was not improving but going down, we said to ourselves, but what could be the other issues that impact on Eskom's balance sheet? And we had lengthy discussions in the committee, I'm sure comrades will recall, and we identified the non-payment by municipalities as one risk that faces the entity. And it was on that basis that last year we called Eskom to appear before us, to talk to us, to say, what is the state of affairs. It was not a pleasant presentation. And once again, the committee decided early this year that we must call Eskom to once again go over the issues. The picture that was painted was not a good one, and we wanted to know that. But beyond Eskom as an entity, what is government doing? And that's when we got this idea of the task team, or whatever it is called, that includes SALGA, COGTA, National Treasury, and everybody else. And so we felt, no, we need to have all the parties involved come here. We have had Eskom side of the story, but we want to know what is it that is being done about this issue. So that is the basis why today we're not meeting Eskom alone. We have all these other departments that are here present. So because we're here to listen, what we would want to do will allow you as Eskom to make a presentation. But I think Mr. Hatebe will not want you to go line by line, because I see you have a very thick presentation. Would want you to take us through the salient points that are relevant in giving us, in reconfirming the picture, the broad picture that is there. I see there is a presentation, and then would want to hear from COGTA, because these municipalities fall under their watch. What is it that they're doing? We'll also want to hear from National Treasury, because they are the ones who are disbursing the money. And of course, municipalities have banded themselves together into an association called SALGA, which is also part of this effort. So we would want to hear from all the parties involved, and then comrades can be able to make follow-ups with you around what you have presented. I just want to indicate that we have an apology from the DG of COGTA, Mr. Masitiso. He is in the northwest. He is in the northwest. He is in the northwest. I'm saying he is in the northwest. He is in the northwest, dealing with the issues that we all know. Right. I want to hand over to Eskom, but Chair, congratulations to you and your new board, and all of the best. All of the best. But let me hand over to you. Talk to us, and then we'll go to we'll go to COGTA. If SALGA is here, we'll go to SALGA, and the National Treasurer will be last. Yes, Chair.
Chairperson, Mr. Koti, thank you very much. Members of the committee, my colleague from the Port Cindy, Pagamani, and his executive members that are here. Good morning.
Just pull the mic towards you. Yes.
Good morning. Well, firstly, I got to know, Chairperson, that the material that we had prepared got stuck in the post somewhere and did not reach you timeously. So it would be our desire to stick to the time that you've given us, but the material is, we would have wished you had gotten it as early as Friday. For that, we apologize for the system. And also, Chair, I would like to just express our appreciation for being granted the opportunity to appear before the committee yet again, but this time to come and focus on the municipal debt situation, being a very big issue in our lives, and given the impact it has on Eskom's finances and the municipality's own impact on the economy. But before we get into the business of what we are here about today, I would like, Chairperson, with your permission, for me to just take the committee through, briefly appraise you of what we see as the other key challenges pertaining to the coal stock levels that are currently at issue at 6 of our power stations, which we are currently solving.
Why, Chair, why don't we do that last? I would rather we do that part last so that we don't stray very far from the agenda of today. I'm very much interested in that part, but I would prefer that we do it last, not first.
Chair, I promise it would be just a point that I pass. I just want the committee, because this is has enjoyed a lot of public interest, and it has, at the back of it, has given a lot of public panic. It's more to say to the board, we are addressing it. We have had, this was caused primarily by a decision Eskom has taken 3 or so years ago, not to invest in some of our cost plus mines that are tied to the power stations. The effect of that, their ability to meet their production capacity has been that much challenged. Aligned to that, there was a strategic decision, whether it was right or not wrong, or wrong, a strategic decision that was taken by Eskom to have Tegeta as a preferred supplier. The effect that has had is the others had to find places to sell their produce, and Tegeta ran out of the ability to meet the capacity. This has affected 3 of our power stations, Komati, Arnott, and Henrina. Related to that, we now in a situation that the previous Eskom management and board, when they wanted to get a permission from Treasury to veer off their procurement processes to procure coal in an emergency basis, given their governance issues that were at Eskom, the Treasury refused to grant them that permission. I must say, where we are, we have now been granted permission by Treasury to try and procure coal on an emergency basis. Secondly, we are in a situation that more than half of our 15 coal-fired power stations are having their coal stock within the grid code of 20 days. What we have put in place allows us to move coal from different power stations to supply these 3. So that issue is in hand.
Okay.
Secondly, we want to confirm that we cannot guarantee that there will never be a load shedding, but there is nothing in our system that suggests that we will have load shedding. So we will be able to meet the winter demand bar some unnatural disasters. So I just wanted to address that. So with that behind us, and thank you for that indulgence, Chairman. Honorable members, when the board members and I were appointed to steer this company 3 months ago, it was no longer dismissible that the organization was in a dire situation. Turning the tide of this 95-year-old icon required quick and decisive action. It is encouraging to note that we have now transcended this worrisome situation about 3 months into the journey of the organization's renewal. Along this journey, we have seen a number of executive and staff implicated in various forms of wrongdoing fall by the wayside, creating a favorable working environment for Pagamani and his team to focus on Eskom's primary mandate, which is electricity generation. On this note, notable strides have been made in turning the organizations around. However, the issue of outstanding municipal debt remains one of the pressing challenges for Eskom, more so as the organization faces serious financial challenges. The amount owed by municipality continues to grow, with a notable increases from 9.5 billion to 13.5 billion, a 42% escalation between 2017 and 2018. This is of serious concern as it challenges the sustainability of Eskom. Investors are concerned that the increasing municipal bad debt will make it difficult for Eskom to service its own debt. They raise questions such as, if Eskom cannot collect its debt, how is it going to pay us back? This then reduces the appetite for Eskom bonds. Following our meeting on the 6th of March, the situation has not improved. As our main presentation today will show, as at the end of April, our overdue debt sits at over 13.8 billion, including interest. Collection of municipal debt requires an urgent shift in approach. As per legal and business obligations, Eskom continues to impose penalties on non-paying customers. We recently imposed stricter penalties by increasing the duration of power interruptions from 4 and 4.5 hours to 6 hours each day. 14 hours interruptions are already approved for non-responsive customers. However, our efforts in collecting this debt through supply interruptions are interrupted by individuals within the organs of state in many cases. While it remains urgent and necessary to recover money owed by municipalities, we at Eskom strive to implement the recovery measures within the ambit of the law and endeavor to demonstrate good corporate governance and citizenship from our side. We welcome the opportunity by government and all stakeholders to address this challenge and avert the impact of electricity disconnection. Honorable members, we need to face the harsh reality. Financial sustainability for Eskom will remain difficult for as long as we are unable to secure our debt. We have compromised our credit strategy thus far, and continuing to do so will have serious consequences. We need bold decisions and an understanding that all stakeholders are required to do the right thing. We ask our debtors to fulfill their obligations to enable us as Eskom to fulfill ours. We look forward to engaging with you this morning with the intent of exploring sustainable solutions for the industry and the nation. The interministerial task team made of ministers of COGTA, Finance, Public Enterprises, and Water and Sanitation, together with SALCA, the water boards and Eskom, met last week, and we agreed on a need to have further discussions by the end of the coming week. I would like to therefore thank the committee for organizing this follow-up meeting with the hope that today's discussions will be focused on solutions as the challenges in themselves, as well as related causes were explored at length at the last meeting. Chairperson, I just want to say thank you very much, and my colleagues, the CEO and his team will take you forward. Thank you very much, and I appreciate being here for my first meeting.
And I'm sure you will attest that it's a very nice and easygoing atmosphere here.
So far, so good.
Despite what other people say about us out there. All right, that's fine. But like I said, let's not go line by line because it's thick. Comrades will read. But just take us through the key elements and areas that...
Honorable Chair and members of the committee, good morning, and thank you very much again for the opportunity. My presentation has disappeared.
They've got the hard copies.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. All right, Chair, I'm going to use my hard copies. I believe that you've got hard copies in front of you.
As long as you can, if you
Yes,
refer
I
to a
will
particular
refer to a
page,
slide.
just
Thank you.
indicate this page so we can be with you.
Chairman, just in line with your request that we don't go through each slide, what I have done is I've packaged my presentation in terms of themes. So the first theme that I'm going to take you through is that the municipal debt position actually has not improved, as the chairman has already said. Now, if you look at the first slide, which is slide number 3, the one that has the graph, which demonstrates that just in 1 year, we have had an increase of 4 billion rand, which is over 40% increase just in 1 year. You can see that the Free State is sticking out with 6.5 billion, and Mpumalanga also following there at 3.2 billion. I think the key message on this slide really is that the situation is not getting better. It hasn't gotten any better. And you will see in later slides, if you look at the next slide, slide number 4, you will see that the graph that we shared with you at the last time when we came in March, we have had an increase of 320 million rand just in 1 month. So as you know, if you look at March, December, November, usually in June, those are the 2-3 months where we actually experience a drop because of the equitable share contribution. And again, here the slide just demonstrates that the debt is not getting any better and it's increasing. Going to the next slide, number 5, also the same pattern, so I'm not going to go too much in detail in there. And then I would like to address the issue of the age analysis, which was raised the last time. And I would also like to talk about interest, which was raised at the last meeting as well. Now, in terms of the age analysis on slide number 6, you will see that in March 2017, 64% of our debt was over 90 days. But now the impact of the concession looking at 2018 March, you will see that the increase now is 93% of our debt is over 90 days. However, because we have moved from 15 days, and that is the concession that we gave, to 30 days, you now see the number has actually gone down because, in other words, the greater than 15 days has actually come down as the impact of the concession. Again, here the principle is that we first look at the oldest debt in terms of reduction. You try and keep your newer debt in control and make sure that the current account is paid on a monthly basis, which we haven't quite experienced with some of the municipalities, as you will see a little bit later on. Moving on to the next slide, which is slide number 7, it's also just demonstrating the top 20 municipalities. So I don't want to spend too much time because it is a similar pattern to the previous slide. All it's doing is it's focusing on the top 20 municipalities. If you may just indulge me and move to slide number slide number 10. It's the slide that actually shows you interest charged on overdue amounts during 2017-18. So that would be slide number 10, this slide. I just want to give you an example of a couple of municipalities. So in 2018, 1.5 billion was the interest contribution in terms of the interest that we charged in that year. I think the issue that has been raised in the past is that the interest is very high, and it seems that we may be making a lot of money out of interest. Now let's take Maluti Apofung as an example. If you take Maluti Apofung, currently they owe us 2.7 billion. The last time that they paid their bill was in August 2017, and they paid us 5 million rand only. The third thing about them is that the current account on a monthly basis on average is about 80 million. And we had a court interim order that was granted to Eskom for the customers to pay Eskom directly. So we are expecting that today, hopefully, we should be able to get some payment from organized business community. If I can take Liqua as another example, and I will stop there in terms of examples. Liqua in Mpumalanga owes us 437 million. We had a court order last year that allowed some of the businesses like Astral to pay us directly. So on a monthly basis, we do get 10 million from the business community. Their monthly bill is about 26 million as the municipality, and 10 million of that, in other words, 50%, is actually from these three big companies who are paying us directly. Now, the setback for us is that Liqua is not paying the balance. So there is a balance that we believe they are able to collect, or they are collecting, but it is not coming to Eskom. And the challenge now is that with the interruption, we are not able to interrupt now with the arrangement that we have where the municipality, the big customers of the municipality are actually paying us. So that is the first theme that I would like to deal with, which basically says the situation has not improved. Now, the second thing that I want to deal with is, from an Eskom point of view, what have we actually done? So that takes me to slides number 8 and 9, which I'm going to be talking to just in a moment. Now, starting with the first one, let's talk about the concessions, which you will find on slide number 9. I shared at the last meeting that we were asked through SALGA to look at some of the ways that we can assist the municipalities. And we then came to the 5 concessions, which were then implemented. The first one being the rationalization of the tariffs. That is going to be implemented on the round about July next year. That is our expectation. Where it is now, it's sitting at the nurse's desk. They are looking at it, and we will most likely be able to implement in July 2019. And then if you look at the interest, our interest, of course, is very punitive at prime plus 5%. We were then requested to look at it, and we reduced it to prime plus 2.5%. And this interest, by the way, was really aimed at supporting or assisting municipalities that are really struggling. But what did happen in the process is that the metros, who, by the way, do pay us very well and they pay on time, they benefited from that. And then we had to discuss with them that from a cash flow point of view, Eskom is challenged by that, and we asked them kindly to revert to the 15 days, which is the current situation. And then the third thing, of course, is the move from 15 days to 30 days. And then the last thing is really to assist municipalities who want to upgrade their infrastructure, that we look at a way where we can pay for the upgrade instead of asking them to give us the money up front. That has been approved, and what we are doing at the moment is looking at the principles that we will use to implement that decision. So by July this year, we believe that we'll be able to have that offer to the municipalities. And then the second slide that I want to talk to is the payment arrangements, which you will find on slide number 8. Essentially here, what we have looked at is we look at the municipalities' affordability. And this was really triggered by the fact that when we first signed the payment arrangements, we actually found that the municipalities would probably honor them for a month or two, and then they would renege. A point was raised that perhaps we are not looking at their own affordability. We started off by saying that we will not have payment arrangements that are more than 3 years. But after visiting a number of provinces together with COCTA, we realized that we may need to be flexible in terms of the duration in which we collect our debt. And now we go up to 5 years or 60 months to collect the money. We did get to a situation where municipalities signed payment arrangements. But what we find is that with the 52 payment arrangements that have been signed, 28 of them are being honored, 12 are currently being partially honored. So in other words, it's either we get a short payment, or in some months there is no payment at all. And then the last 12 municipalities are not honoring the payment arrangements at all. So the essence really is that it seems that our efforts are not really yielding the fruits as we would like them to. And then the last thing under this theme that I would like to deal with is the interruptions, because in terms of what we have done and what we are doing, the last resort is certainly the interruptions that we implement. The chair talked about the 6.5 hours, which is what we implement. And we also have the option of 14 hours, which we have not implemented yet because the municipalities actually do come forward and either make a payment arrangement or some such thing. So if you go to slide number 15, I think it is, you will be able to see the planned interruption list as we had it on the 7th of May. Now, this is a very dynamic interruption list because municipalities do come forward in some cases. In other cases, we have court interdicts, and we end up not being able to implement the interruption. So if I choose a couple of examples, look at Naledi on slide number 15. Now, Naledi is in Northwest. They have signed we're supposed to interrupt them today. Yesterday, I signed a payment arrangement on their 264 million owed, and it's a payment arrangement that's going to take effect over 5 years. So then we have taken them off the list because of that. Mamusa as well in Northern Cape, they signed a payment arrangement, and which was less than 5 years. And we now have Governor Begi is still on the list for the 21st, Dipaliseng also on the list. Getleng, we've got a court interdict as we speak, and I believe they are in court today to discuss the issue. So that is the status with the second theme, Chair. May I take you to the next theme that I would like to cover, and that is the AG report, and you will find that on slide 11, slide 12 to slide 14. So, excuse me. So what we did here is in trying to find ways of really appreciating what are the challenges that the municipalities are having and which ones probably need a special and different approach in terms of getting the money. We then went to the AG report, the two AG reports, one for 2014-15 and another one for 2015-16. We looked at those reports, and we tried to correlate those reports to the municipalities that are currently giving us challenges in terms of debt collection. So if I can choose, say, 3 provinces or maybe 1 or 2 for the sake of time, just to help us understand how to interpret this graph. If you look at the Free State, 2014-15, if you look at green, it says that 2 municipalities were in good financial health risk or financial health standing. And then they had 15 that were of concern, 3 that were of concern, and 15 that actually required intervention, and intervention that would have come from COCTA and possibly Salga, and also with Eskom participating where possible. But in 2015-16, the 2 municipalities remained. The municipalities of concern reduced from 3 to 1. However, those that require intervention, they increased from 15 to 17. Presumably, 2 of those 3 actually were downgraded. So if you look at that, I think, Chair, I should proceed to the next 2 slides, which really just show the correlation between what we have experienced from a debt, area debt point of view, and to try and align whether there is some correlation between the 2. So if I look at Beyers Naudé as an example, what we found interesting there is that they do have a payment arrangement in place. They are honoring that payment arrangement. However, from the AG's report, there was no report for 2014-15, but in 2015-16, the AG reports indicated that they actually do need some form of intervention. If I look at another one, let's go to the next slide, number 13. If I look at the next one, Emalahleni, another example, you will see that Emalahleni currently is not paying us. They owe us 1.6 billion rand. I think the last time that they paid us about 6.5 million was in May this year. We are currently awaiting a court date to go and talk about how do we move forward. And unfortunately, as we speak, they are on a payment holiday. We are not receiving any money from Emalahleni at all. And again, there, if you look at the AG report, it does confirm that there is a challenge. Chair, this theme, I would like to leave it at this point, but it was really just to highlight that you know, there is correlation. Then the next one is on the interdicts. And the interdicts you will find on slides 16 and 17, and I also won't spend too much time on them. But what I want to highlight on the interdicts is that, first of all, the interdicts are actually from organized business, organized communities, and individuals. So it's never the municipality that actually takes us to court. And what we have found is a pattern of things that they ask for. The first thing is that we must stop interrupting. Obviously, that has detrimental effect on their businesses, on the livelihood, and so on. They also then ask that they want to pay Eskom directly. I've already shared that in Liqua we do have a precedent. And the third thing that we have seen they ask for is that Eskom actually takes over the supply. So those are the three things that we have experienced. Now, in Liqua, I've already spoken about, if you look at slide 9 again, it's at slide 16 again. Astral is paying us directly 10 million. We're still short of 16 million. If you look at Maluti Apofung, as I said, we're expecting that the organized business is going to give us some money today. And then Tabachwe, we're going to court on the 31st of July, and the rest are on the list. Moving on to the next slide, which also talks to the interdicts. Now, if you this slide, what we did with it is we looked at the top 10 municipalities that owe us. We also looked at whether we do have customers in the area of supply, because one of the other issues that have been raised with us is that in cases where Eskom has electricity customers, the municipalities struggle to get money for other services like your rates and taxes, refuse, and so on. And so because they don't have the lever of switching off those customers, they are unable to get the collection. So what we did was to look at the top 10 and to say that if I take Nwate as an example, in Nwate they owe us just under 1 billion. We do have a payment arrangement which they are honoring. We don't have any customers. But if you look at Maluti Apofung as another example, they owe us 2.8 billion. We have about 11,000 customers who are on prepaid. We don't have a payment arrangement. As I said, we're going to be going to court, and we do have a court interdict currently, and the order was that the businesses pay us directly. We expect the money today. So you will see that in some areas we do have customers, but if we look at the type of customer that we have, although we haven't yet done, we don't have empirical evidence, but our gut feel tells us that the large power users, your commercial customers that are supposed to be paying a little bit more, are not within Eskom's area of supply, and therefore should be, and we trust that they are paying the municipalities, or possibly they are not paying the municipalities, but the customers that we have in the areas are actually on prepaid. However, when it comes to rates and taxes and all of those services, we would not have the information as to how much is owed by the customers within the area of within the municipal boundaries. And again here, Chair, all I really wanted to amplify is that, you know, in some cases, unfortunately, when we do have an interdict, municipalities take a holiday. They simply don't pay until we get to court, as is the case with Emalahleni. Going to the next theme, Chair, and I've got 2 more themes to cover, so I'm almost at the end. I just wanted to share additional Eskom interventions to see what more can we do. If you go to slide 18 and slide number 19, those two slides will show us what more are we doing from an Eskom point of view, looking at strategic engagements through the intergovernmental relations, and also looking at organized business. We have met with a number of businesses. We've met with BUSA recently. We also have the structures like the IMTT, the Interministerial Task Team, which is chaired by the COCTA Minister. We have attended, we actually are part of the members. We had a meeting last week. They have appointed, they being the IMTT, has appointed an advisory panel. We had a meeting with the advisory panel. We have been to Scopa as well to share an update as per the request in terms of the 23 billion government injection. And in that platform, we also used the opportunity to raise the challenge of municipal debt. I've already mentioned that the organized business also, we have engaged them in order to try and find solutions to the challenge. Moving on to the next slide, number 19. There again is just to amplify what it is that we are doing operationally. I've spoken to the interruptions already. If you look at other initiatives, we are looking at possibly selling the municipal debt. We have put together a scoping of our request for information. We hope that by the end of June, we would be able to go to the market to see if there are any parties that would be interested in the debt. We are looking at additional incentives. For example, looking at suppressing interest further, giving more incentives for municipalities to pay us. We should have those in place by the end of July this year. I think at the last meeting, I also shared with you that we have done some pilots, Phumelela in the Free State, where we go to Phumelela, we've been to Phumelela, we installed some meters so that we are able to assist them to collect money. And we have seen some positive gains there. And then the last intervention that we're looking at is really to say, seeing that Eskom is also constrained from a capital point of view, are there any other third parties that would be interested in installing these solutions in the municipalities, like is the case in Tabazimbi? So that theme, Chair, is really about additional interventions from Eskom that we're looking at, which we will implement during the course of the year. Now, Soweto is included in the next slide, which is slide number 20. And really, this was for completeness because it does come up from time to time. And what we are showing here is that we also have a problem in Soweto. Our debt as at end of March 2018 was 15.4 billion. We have a capital amount of 5.9 billion. We also have in Duplam, which is the excess, the interest that is greater than capital. And we have calculated that to be over 3 billion rand. And also there is an amount that is prescribed. So those two amounts will have to be accounted for differently in terms of how you see the debt of Soweto. The next slide, Chair, I just wanted to demonstrate to you that also going into Soweto, and we've got Katlehong as well on the table, we do have challenges when we try to install these smart solutions. We have a lot of protests. The picture on the bottom left where you see burnt vehicles, that is one of our Soweto depots where we service Soweto, part of Soweto. And we had a number of people, I think there was an outage some 2 years ago where a cable was stolen in winter. We usually have an escalation of illegal connections in winter. A cable was stolen. The community was very angry. They went to our premises, our offices, and they burnt all the vehicles that were there, including the vehicles that belong to our employees. And then you can see the other pictures. Those are some of the challenges that we have, Chair. And then the very last theme, Chair, is really the response to the request that the committee made, that from an Eskom point of view, surely we need to put something together by way of aggressive communication strategy. And what we have done is we have looked at the lessons that we had with our two programs or campaigns that we had. You may recall that we had a program called 49M, which was aimed at energy efficiency throughout the country. It was sponsored by or championed by the then DPE minister, Minister Kigaba. And it was really all about getting all South Africans, who were 49 million at the time. It was really to gather all South Africans and to encourage them to save electricity. We also had Operation Kanyisa, also a few years ago, which was a partnership between Eskom, SALGA, and business community, and really also to try and engage South Africans to be conscious about paying for services. So the approach that we have used here in this strategy is to say that let's use the approach that basically says we appeal to South Africans to adopt a user pay principle. And secondly, we look at it from a perspective to say, what is in it from me as an individual? So we look at it at an individual level, at community level, at provincial level, and also from an SA Inc. Point of view. That is depicted on slide number 23, which really just talks about the approach that we want to use in this process. The slide here, slide 23. And then also, we want to use the marketing tools, to get the message across. So we would be using media engagement, partnerships, like we did with the other campaigns we had. We also will do some marketing. And then on slide 24, I show the various stakeholders that we have identified with whom we must engage in order to make this a success. Now, Chair, we actually completed this template through our Corporate Affairs Division last Thursday. It's going to go to Exco this Friday, and then we're going to engage our line ministry next week, really just to get broader buy-in. And then hopefully by middle of July this year, we'll be able to implement or launch this program. Chair, I want to leave it at this point and thank you for the opportunity.
All right.